Welcome to Washington Echoes, where we travel back through time. Washington is centrally located within the triangle of Newcastle, Sunderland and Durham in the northeast of England. Please subscribe now to keep updated with local history in and around the Washington area. Hi everyone, I'm Audrey Fletcher and I'm here today to share with you my discovery of an enormous Bronze Age necropolis at Fatfield. In late 1907, 3 Bronze Age kists were unearthed when a Bronze Age mound was opened at Fatfield. The mound lay between Castle Street and Victoria View. Moreover, a crude food vessel found alongside one of the skeletons was confirmed as dating back to the Bronze Age. Today, the housing has been cleared and the area turned into a park. All trace of our ancient Bronze Age past, our ancient Bronze Age heritage has gone. Or has it? In 1907, William Coulthard maintained that there were at least 7 more kists on that same piece of rising ground, because he often looked over that field from his garden, and saw, after the spring rains, that the grass on 7 patches was longer and greener than the rest. However, no further investigation was made. Now, with my discovery of a major Bronze Age burial ground at Fatfield, after more than 100 years, William Coulthard has been proven correct. Just look at all the crop marks of burial mounds on this aerial photograph. Clearly, this was not a Bronze Age settlement as was first thought, but a major Bronze Age burial ground, and therefore of major archaeological significance. The crop marks revealing the Bronze Age burial mounds at Fatfield first became evident in 2012, as recorded on this aerial view by Google Earth. This was the same year as I discovered the prehistoric circles across the River Wear at Mount Pleasant, also on Google Earth. At middle left, the mounds, which were barely visible on the previous slide, are now clearly outlined. I wonder, how many crop marks of Bronze Age burial mounds can you identify in these aerial photos? So far, I have identified 40, and that doesn't include those hidden under the trees. This is a seriously important historical and archaeological site at Fatfield. And here we have my representation of the Bronze Age mounds in the sacred necropolis on the west bank of the River Wear at Fatfield. The burial mounds reaching down to the banks of the River Wear are of 3 distinct sizes and can be measured using the key at the bottom right of the photo. The largest are 60 feet diameter, the medium 40 feet diameter, and the smallest are 30 feet diameter. Perhaps the various sizes of the mounds indicates the number of kists buried within. For example, 3 kists in the mounds of 30 feet diameter and 6 kists in the mounds of 60 feet diameter. I wonder, when were the Bronze Age burial mounds flattened? On the other side of the River Wear from the Bronze Age burial mounds are the prehistoric circles which I discovered in 2012. These circles are symbolic of the primeval egg, the birth of creation. The oval shape of the prehistoric circles suggests a Neolithic origin, dating back to as long ago as 4000 BC to 2500 BC. This was the Neolithic age, when people made the transition from hunter-gatherers to farmers. The accuracy of their measurements never ceases to amaze me. Exactly 30, 40 and 60 feet for the diameter of the mounds, and 1,000 and 4,000 feet for the east-west linear measurements. I find this quite extraordinary. And 4,000 years later, we still had the identical imperial measurements of feet and inches. Well, that is until the introduction of the metric system. So, not only do we have the legacy of Neolithic prehistoric circles and Bronze Age kists and mounds in the Fatfield area, but also an ancient legacy of a system of measurement. I find this very satisfying. In examining the relationship of the Neolithic circles to Worm Hill, remarkably, the central point of these ancient circles lies exactly 4,000 feet from the central point at the summit of Worm Hill. Moreover, the two central points lie on a perfect west-east alignment, which is indicative of the ancient people's concern with their observation of the sun at the equinoxes. On March 20th, 2021, on the spring equinox, the sun rising in the east was symbolic of birth, rebirth, while the sun setting in the west was symbolic of death. In ancient times, on the east bank of the River Wear, birth and rebirth was celebrated within the ancient circles, the primeval egg, with the rising of the sun in the east. On the west bank of the River Wear, where the sun set, lay the land of the dead, that is, Worm Hill, and the huge Bronze Age burial ground. This was indeed sophisticated planning by an ancient people with an interest in both astronomy and the eternal cycle of birth, death and renewal. The focus of the area was entirely ritual. This is a sacred and ritual landscape at Fatfield. The question now arises as to whether Worm Hill at Fatfield is a major Bronze Age burial mound. After all, it is on a perfect east-west alignment with the centre of the prehistoric Neolithic circles, where the sun rose in the east at the spring equinox, symbolising birth, and set in the west at Worm Hill, symbolising death. Most certainly, the original conical shape and location of Worm Hill does suggest the high possibility that it is a Bronze Age burial mound. On the other hand, perhaps Worm Hill is a terminal moraine dumped at the end of the last ice age, and the Neolithic circles were constructed exactly 4,000 feet to the east in order to create a ritual landscape. Biddick Ford was an important river crossing of religious significance during the Bronze Age and the earlier Neolithic Age. The tide going out to create a ford would have seemed like the intervention of the gods, allowing the people to cross over the watery spiritual realm of their ancestors. Upon reaching the other side, the Bronze Age people buried their dead in kists and covered them with mounds, symbolic of the primeval egg, those buried within in a fetal position, awaiting their time of rebirth. This was indeed a sacred and ritual landscape. Biddick Ford, which today is about half a mile upstream from Fatfield Bridge, later became the site of the Biddick Ferry and the ferryboat inn. This is an unusual photo of Worm Hill, which I took in July 2012. It certainly looks like a primeval mound when viewed from the upper outer ditch of the prehistoric circles. In 1830, Worm Hill and the River Wear did not appear as they do today. The features of the landscape were clearly visible at that time. Sailing up the River Wear from Sunderland, following around a bend in the river, people were suddenly confronted by what would have seemed like a primitive or alien landscape. There, straight ahead, was Worm Hill, rising like a sacred mound from the river's edge. It must have looked almost spiritual, ethereal. Imagine the impact upon the people of the ancient past when Worm Hill was untouched in its original shape of a conical hill, before 1/3 of it had been quarried away on the south side. So, is Worm Hill a terminal moraine? Or is it a major Bronze Age burial mound of major archaeological significance? What do you think? Well everyone, I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation and subscribed to my channel. I look forward to sharing my continued research with you in my next video. Bye for now.